in the first meeting we had together, Ava and I, she was still considering other composers, and we just had a conversation about my approach, about why something like this or this subject matter might be something that I'd be interested in working on. And then she showed me the first episode, and then we talked again afterwards. And actually, I got emotional after watching the first episode. I actually went back and as soon as I started talking to her, I found myself like tearing up talking to her about it, just because I felt the story so close to home. I myself actually ended up arrested for protesting, and saw firsthand a little bit. I mean, getting arrested for protesting is like a field trip to jail, but they did put us in a cell block, and we were there for 24 hours, and it was such an eye-opening experience. And even going through that with such a silly charge, but watching these young boys get arrested for something, it really reminded me how easily that could have been me, how easily like somebody could have mistaken me for being somewhere I wasn't, and then my whole life would have been completely different. And so that was kind of our first conversation, and I think just a combination of Jason's recommendation and her, of course, hearing my other music in other places, but maybe even specifically how much the show really impacted me from the beginning, I think made it so that she trusted me with it.
What was your experience like working with her?
It was really incredible. I mean, she has a really unique balance of being incredibly tough, but also very, giving me a lot of autonomy and freedom as well. Like she isn't very prescriptive when it comes to specifically what she needs from a cue. If there's something I write, a lot of times she's like, yeah, I think it's great. Maybe, this thing I don't really feel as much as I did before, in this moment where his mom hugs him or something like that, and we can amp that up or something like that. But she wouldn't tell me how to do it. She would just be like, yeah, that's something that I used to feel when I watch it so much, and with this cue, I don't feel it so much anymore. So if we can just take a look at that section and then leave it up to me to figure out how to make those adjustments. And the toughest thing was just our schedule. We just didn't really have very much time, and the way she wanted to approach each of these episodes like they were films. And each episode is at least an hour long. The last one's an hour and a half, and each one has about 50 minutes of music. The last one has like almost an hour of music.
Wow,
so,
what an assignment.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot of pressure, but again, she just was so encouraging throughout all of it that it was
recorded here in LA.
Yeah, we recorded just a few musicians like in my space and things like that, and like layered it on top of a lot of the sounds that we created. Like a lot of the sounds in the score almost sounds more like a horror film than anything.
You know what?
I was going to say that when we heard the cues.
Huh.
I before I knew anything, I heard the music. You shared a little bit of it with us. I didn't know what the subject was because I didn't put together, because I knew Ava was making this.
Yeah.
And I didn't put together that was the
listen
title.
to this.
I thought the title of this is the bad guy creeping up the stairs.
Yeah.
And I thought, is Ava's next picture like in the Jordan Peele zone?
Yeah, yeah.
Kind of.
When they see us?
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
I thought the name of the project was, I just got that, When They See Us, was the Central Park 5.
Yeah.
So I thought, what is When They See Us? Ava's making another thing, and it must be a horror film.
Yeah, no, yeah. When it was first called the Central Park 5, but I think at first, and she speaks to this much better, much more eloquently, but originally I think she wanted to change the title because she felt like that title can't be associated with these boys and these men anymore, because we shouldn't be calling them the Central Park 5, because that alludes to what the crime that they were
Erroneously
accused of. And so they came up, she and Netflix ended up coming up with this title, When They See Us, and it really is just about when they are in this situation, when these cops or when these people in authoritative positions see these young black boys, what are they thinking? What comes to mind, or what makes them make these decisions to wrongfully accuse them or to coerce them into giving these statements? And so, as far as it sounding like a horror film, when I first watched it that first time, I felt that way. I felt like
it is a horror film in a certain way. It is a monster of the authorities and a certain approach and assumption, and but they've picked the wrong monster, as it turns out.
Yeah, definitely, and it's really tough to watch just because you have these boys who ended up being in jail for years and years and got out as men, going in at like 15, 16, 14 years old for one of them, and coming out at 30 years old. Their lives were completely changed, and it was pretty.
Well, the trailer is powerful enough, but the series drops this week on Netflix.
Yeah.
Is it sequential, or can you download all 4 at once? Do you know?
You can get all 4 at once.
Netflix doesn't do sequential, I don't think, right?
Yeah,
it's all bingeable.
That's
their
their
thing.
That's their thing. Yeah.
Well, I'll be sure to check that out.
And Ava gets huge props for tackling a number of topics that just need to be done, and I can't wait.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. She basically is just showing how the incarceration system works through the lens of this story, just showing how you can have police that wrongfully convict or coerce somebody, and how difficult it is as a convicted felon to try to assimilate back into the real world, and what the difficulties are there, and then specifically for one boy who ended up going straight to federal prison as a 16-year-old, like what that experience is like for a young man. And so she really is just kind of unearthing the way our prison system works, but through the lens of this story.